विशा कृष्णवर्त्मा इव भूयः एव अभिवर्तते न जातु कामकामानां न जातु कामकामानां उपभोगेन शाम्यति उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्तते भूय एवाभिवर्तते न जातु कामकामानां उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्तते जातु कामकामानां उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्धते न जातु कामकामानां उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्तते माताजी न जातु कामकामानां उपभोगेन शाम्यति हविषा कृष्णवर्त्मेव भूय एवाभिवर्तते न not जातु at any time kamaha lusty desires kamanam of persons who are very lusty upabhogena by enjoyment of lusty desires shamyati can be pacified havisha by supplying butter krishnavartma fire eva like bhuyah again and again eva indeed abhivartate increases more and more. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation: as supplying butter to a fire does not diminish the fire, but instead increases it more and more. The endeavor to stop lusty desires by continual enjoyment can never be successful. In fact, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. Purport: one may have enough money and enough resources to satisfy the senses, but still not be satisfied, for the endeavor to stop lusty desires by enjoying can never be successful. The example given here is very appropriate. One cannot stop a blazing fire by trying to extinguish it with butter. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swami Nityanamne Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gurvani Pracharine Nirushesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Here we are seeing the history of King Yayati. Now this slokas, these verses spoken by King Yayati to his wife. We can see here King Yayati speaks about, actually he realized what is real life and what is the purpose of life, and he is preaching to his wife. Some shlokas in the previous chapter we have seen that Yayati begged Sukracharya to give me my youthhood back because I didn't enjoy much with your daughter, something like that. He is begging to Sukracharya because he's so lusty and he wants to enjoy more sense enjoyment. So, but after what happened after that, so we know we are hearing continuously. Again, from his son he got the youth. He transformed the old age to him, and then he enjoyed sometimes for years and years. He is enjoying. Then once he realized he's not getting real happiness. So now he understood that, and now he is preaching to his wife because he wants to progress further in his life. So he is preaching what is life and how we should act. What is this all about? Everything. What is the nature of sense enjoyment? What is this lust? Everything he is explaining by an allegorical story. So this story is for, we saw this female goat, male goat. He is explaining everything. Finally he is telling, I am that he goat and you are that she goat. So by this way we entangled in this material world, and we are so attached to each other, and we are wasting our life. So he mentioned all this story, and now he is explaining, he is preaching slow, one by one. He is clearing his points to his wife. So this story, this is not the first one in Srimad Bhagavatam. Already we heard in the 4th canto, Narada Muni explaining to King Bharishman the story, Puranjana, the story of Puranjana. How the living entity passing through all the bodies, one leg, 2 leg, 4 leg, and no leg. Like this, so many bodies the living entity is changing just to enjoy. But still they are not satisfied. So finally, what happened after explaining all those stories, King Bharishman telling, Narada Muni, you are a realized soul, but I didn't understand anything. Can you explain this to me again? Like this? What do you want to say? I couldn't understand. Srila Prabhupada explaining in that purport, people who are covered with the material modes of nature, they will not understand the spiritual truth. And for devotees, this is very simple. This material world is not for enjoyment. Our material senses, our senses are always, this body is always troublesome. Shariram Vyadi Mandram. These devotees, they knew everything. But karmis, are people who are attached to the material enjoyment, they cannot understand this. So, Narada Muni and our Yayati telling these stories, like in a simplified way. All these stories, these all are not like some bedtime stories for children, small children. These are not like that. These all are not for time pass. This is for preaching directly. So then when King Bharishman said like that, Narada said, fool, you are that conditioned soul who is traveling all over, who is trying to enjoy the senses. So don't do that. Human life is not for sense enjoyment. Narada Muni directly preaching that. So Srimad Bhagavatam is full of like that only. Such narrations are there in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's clear what we have to do, what we should not do, what is human life, what is the purpose behind it, and why we should control our senses, and how we should control our senses. Everything. The problem, nature of the problem, and solution, and how to do everything is, what is the process, everything is given, and what will be the result. Everything is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam preaches straightforward. It's not like, okay, sometime you can do, sometime you cannot do. It's not like that. And it is direct message, just to cut our detachment from our heart, cut our attachments to the material world from our heart. So our heart should be clear. Otherwise, we cannot get closer to Krishna. Because Krishna is mentioned as Pavitranam Pavitram Yo Mangalanam Cha Mangalam. He's the purest and he's the auspicious one. So his servants, they also should be the same character. Otherwise, we cannot approach. So that's why this Srimad Bhagavatam systematically purifies the conditioned soul who is attached to the sense enjoyment. By each and every canto, it is slowly purifying with all these narrations. This material world is full of sufferings. It's not place for enjoyment. All these truths are revealed one by one. And in this shloka, the example of fire, we can see fire, supplying butter to a fire does not diminish the fire. So this is, we can say in Guru Ashtangam also it is mentioned as Sangsara Davanala. This forest fire of material existence. So this, one may inquire, one may inquire how this fire starts. So because this forest fire, usually what happens, there is no particular cause for it. It will happen automatically. Maybe some trees. Yeah, bamboo rub themselves. So all of a sudden it catches. But if we pour bucket by bucket water, we cannot diminish it. Cloud should come. The dark, dense cloud and heavy rain should be there. Then only it will be diminished. And in the same way, this material life also, material existence also started with no reason. Means, it's from Anadi Karma Phale. Nobody knows what is the cause for it. To stop this fire, rain should come. Same thing. This petrol also is like a liquid. Okay, we can put more ghee so it will be diminished. No, there cannot be that. That should not be done. So it will increase the fire more and more. So same thing, our material existence also, when we indulge in sense enjoyment, the forest fire of this material existence, this samsara davanala will increase more and more and more. All the living entities are burned by this. So one should, Prabhupada here mentioned in the translation, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. So this is the solution. So how it is possible? How we can do that? That is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that it's mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. Our lusty desires should be zero. That means everything should be shunya. Like how Shunyavadi says, everything after death there is nothing, everything is shunya. But we are Guru Maharaj mentioned in our lecture, we are also Shunyavadis. Like what is our shunya? Is anyabhilashita shunyam. The desires, the material desires should be shunyam. It should be it should be zero. There should be no material desires. Then jnana karmadi anavratam. So all the desires for jnana and material, everything should be zero. So then we can go nearby Krishna. We can go near to Krishna. We can advance in the Krishna Bhakti. Yeah, unless we finish our desire for acting our own happiness, then we cannot happy actually. Unless we are satisfying Krishna's, unless we are not giving happiness to Krishna, then we cannot get happy. We cannot be happy. Because all the Shastras are mentioning that. So we have to follow the Shastras. Unless if you are not following the Shastras, Yashastra Vitim Usrijya Vartate Kamakarata Nasasiddhim Avabnoti Na Sukam Na Paramgati. So this is the thing. Like if we are acting for our own karma, our own sense desires or lusty desires without following the injunctions of the Shastras, then we cannot be happy. There is no perfection, no happiness. Na Sukam, Na Siddhi. So this point we should consider. Because everybody in this material world looking for happiness and perfection. So when we are not following the Shastras like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, then we cannot be happy. So for that, we have to understand all these things, and we should hear regularly from the advanced devotees. Some may say, no, no, sir, I'm already enjoying here. Say, I'm eating meat, I'm having sex, I'm liquor, everything. It's giving happiness for me. But that's not real happiness. Ultimately, the sufferings also followed by it. And also, by doing that, our senses are also not satisfied. These senses are very difficult to control, and they are very dangerous, because in Bhagavad Gita we learn the mind. There is a chariot, and the horses, and the driver, and the master. So these senses, intelligent, mind, soul, these all are given example in that way. So everything should be systematically. Our mind should be controlled by intelligence, and our senses should be controlled. So then we can be happy. And because our senses, even one sense, we have like our body, if even one senses are not controlled, one sense is not controlled, then it is very difficult. Our path of perfection is completely distracted by that. Even one senses is disturbed. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu it is mentioned that Khamadinam Khatita Palita Dhurni Deshas Tesham Jhatamayi Na Karuna Na Tripa Na Upashanti Utsrijaitam Yata Atha Yatupate Sampratam Labdha Buddhis Tvam Ayata Sharanam Abhayam Mam Niyungshatma Dasye. So in this shloka, the devotee is praying to the Lord, Yadupati, to Krishna. So Krishna, so far I am serving my senses, trying to please them for so long. Either they are not satisfied, and they are not showing any mercy to me. They are pushing me more and more, service. So I am completely disturbed and distressed. So now I came to you, so please give me shelter. Only you can give me happiness. So like that, devotees are praying. So this is what the danger is of pleasing our own senses. They are not satisfied. They will not be satisfied. Because uncontrolled, the mind is not controlled. Mind should be controlled and with intelligence. So then everything will be proper. Then we can get real happiness. Otherwise, these senses cannot be controlled, and they will not be merciful also, because they are all the time they were demanding. We can see big cities, even now Salem also advancing materially. So all these big bridges, big cars, for what? They want to enjoy the senses. But are they satisfied? No. Senses are not peaceful also. They are all the time pushing. So you get me more. Oh, some people, they have cars for 1 crore rupees. Something is there. Still they are not happy. They are seeing some other car which is more costly. I want to get that. Maybe some hotels also, the same thing like that. They will not eat from their own plate. They will see the other plate. Oh, that will be tasty. This will be tasty. So for this enjoyment, they are working day and night like asses, just for pleasing the senses. But these senses are not pleased. They cannot be pleased unless if they are engaged in Krishna's service. One should understand that. One should understand the disturbing nature of the senses. How to control it. That also we should understand. And we should understand that we are temporary here. Our presence in this material world, it is temporary. It's not our own place. It's not our permanent residence here. We don't have anything here. Because people are so endeavoring so much, and they forgot that when death comes, everything will be finished. They are forgetting that main fact. So we should always remember that we are temporary here. There is one small story. There was a sage, there was a rishi living in a cave in a mountain. So one person from a city came to see him and seek blessings from the guru, from that Muni. So he came and he saw the Guru that sage was living in a simple cave, something like, he has nothing, some grass mat to sit, that's it, no anything, he's chanting, that's it. So this man from city, he came and he offered pranam, asked for blessings. Then he asked, Swamiji, how you are living here? There is no furnitures here, so you don't have anything, he said. For that Muni asked back, so you also here, where is your furnitures? I don't have anything, but where is your furnitures? He told, no Swamiji, I am guest here, so I didn't bring anything. So then that Muni also said, I am also guest to this material world. I am just visiting here. So for me, I don't want anything. So the life is like this. This is the true fact of life. So we should understand that we all guest to this material. And this is and we should finish the business here and we should go back to home, back to Godhead. And for that, whatever needed, we should focus on that, not to acquire more and more material things. That is not the purpose of human life. People, they are not understanding this. What happened because of that? Matirna Krishne Parataswadova Mithobi Badyate Grihavratanam Adanda Gopir Vishatam Tamisram Puna Sharvita Charvananam. Because of these uncontrolled senses, person addicted to materialistic life progressing toward hell. This is what? This towards hell, it's not even next life after death. They are living in hellish condition now itself because they want to please their material senses. And what they are doing? Chewing the chewed. Whatever the previous people lived previously, whatever they did, they also decide for sense enjoyment and they did so much endeavor for this. And people now who are living, they are also doing the same thing, try to enjoy the senses. Future people who are coming, they are also doing the same thing. They will be doing the same thing. So, but they will not get any real happiness or satisfaction. Because of this hellish condition, they cannot understand about Krishna consciousness. This is the dangerous thing of enjoying the sense, trying to enjoy the senses. Even because of this, their inclination toward Krishna is never aroused, either by the instruction of others or by their own efforts, or the combination of both. So this is very important. Even if anybody instructs about the facts of life, they cannot hear. Brain is locked completely. Intelligence covered by Maya. And they will not do any endeavor for the self-realization. Because they are completely indulged, they are completely absorbed in enjoying the senses. This is the dangerous thing in indulging in sense gratification. One's mind should be controlled because that is the main fact. Whatever ashram he may be, brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, everybody's mind and senses should be controlled. Particularly grihasthas. Because Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, all these jivatmas, manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. All these, including mind, the living entities suffering with 6 senses including mind. Krishna is telling like this. So all the living entities are struggling to control these 6 senses. But grihasthas, what is the problem? Their own 6 senses and their wife 6, children 6, 6 plus 6 plus 6. This is what the reality in grihastha ashram. This leader of grihastha ashrama, he should see that everybody is engaged in, everybody's mind and senses are controlled. This is the big responsibility. So it's a point to note in grihastha life that the family head should see that everybody is control their mind and senses, they are engaged in positive way in Krishna consciousness. So one should know about the nature of this material world and the lusty desires, what will be the effect. One should not be neglectful. Okay, I am already advanced, so many years I am chanting, so many years I was doing service, so no problem, I will not bother about that. No, That is also not good. Even in the beginner stage or advanced stage, everybody should be very careful about dealing with these sense objects and the senses, controlling the senses. Because even in Srimad Bhagavatam, we are reading that even great devotees like Prahlad Maharaj praying to Lord Nrsingadev. When Lord Nrsingadev asking Prahlad Maharaj to ask for any boons. So what did Prahlad Maharaj pray? Yadi dasyasi me kama varam stvam varadarshava kamanam hridaya samroham bhavatastu vrnevaram. O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart, so within the core of my heart, there be no material desire. So this is what even Prahlad Maharaj is desiring for. He is praying for. So previously we said our desires should be zero. So that means our material desires should be zero. Because we are followers of Prahlad Maharaj, he is asking that only. His desire is that there should be no material desire. That means our desire should be dovetailed with Guru's desire. So like we have to please our Guru, then Krishna will be pleased. Then we will be pleased. Then we can be pleased. We can be happy. So this is the formula for happiness. We cannot be desireless. Also, one should use every senses and desires in Krishna's service. Then the mind and senses will be controlled, like Ambarish Maharaj. So we know that famous sloka. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindar. So in that sloka, that last line, it is that Kamam dasye natu kama kamyaya yatottama shloka janashraya ratihi. So Ambarish Maharaj engaged all the senses in various engagements of the Lord and be completely free from all material desires. He never desired anything for his own sense gratification. So Srila Prabhupada in this sloka translation, one must instructing us, in fact, one must voluntarily cease from all material desires. So this is the formula for ceasing all material desires. One should engage all our senses in Krishna's service. Then we can free from all material desires. Then we can be zero, that shunyavadi. We can become this material desire, free from complete material desires. He never desired anything for his own sense gratification. So everywhere this do's and don'ts is there. So while taking initiation also, we are promising do's and don'ts to the spiritual master. What are the do's? I'll chant 16 rounds minimum daily. What are the don'ts? No intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex. So this everywhere. So here also, if you want to be happy, if you want to be free from material desires, so we should engage all our senses in Krishna's service. At the same time, we should not desire for sense gratification also. Because this sense gratification, even though, again, same point I am repeating, there is a Bengali song, Tatala Saikate Nari Bhindu Sama Sutamita Ramani Samaja. So this material sense gratification with society, friendship, love is like drop of water in desert. Even if you put so much rain, even it is so much raining in the desert, it is not sufficient for the desert. So what to speak of the drop of water? So this is the nature of the material senses. So we should always keep this in mind and should not endeavor for material sense gratification. Because, again, one more quote from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because unless if we are trying to please Krishna's senses, our senses cannot be happy. Siddhi bhukti mukti kami sakala ashanta Krishna bhakta nishkama. So here also the word nishkama ataeva shanta. This word nishkama means void of desires, which there is no material desires. So Krishna Bhaktas, because they also have desires, simply they want simply to please their spiritual master and Krishna. So this is the desire. So that is completely in the spiritual platform. So they are in safe position. So we also should try to please our Guru and Krishna. Then we also can be happy. Our senses and mind will be controlled. Hare Krishna. Is there any questions, comments? Please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
One question. Why is it that, if we've been practicing Krishna consciousness for so many years and we know the process, how to become free from the tribulations and the dictations of the mind, and how to become free from, lust, anger, greed, and all these things, but still, despite knowing all these things, we're not able to fully give them up? What is the reason for this?
Main reason.
Sorry?
Yes. See, even after following so many years in Krishna consciousness, hearing and chanting everything, still mind is pulling towards the sense gratification. So what is the reason?
Yeah, we know the process, that Guru gives the process, how to become free from lust, anger, greed. And we know these things, but yet
we know
not able to.
we know the process, how to free from all these attachments. Still something is pushing. What is that? So it's attachment. It's attachment to the material senses, material sense gratification. And Jayadvaita Maharaj mentioned in one place, I heard from Jayadvaita Maharaj, he's telling how so far who are followed on this, even practicing devotees, who are went away from the path of this Krishna consciousness, I'll make like this. If we follow strictly the process, whatever Srila Prabhupada has given, whatever our devotees are given, Srila Prabhupada has given, if we follow that strictly, then will not be followed. There will be no deviation. But we have to follow strictly. Because there are so many fall downs and deviations in our movement, in our devotees, we can see from the past. But there is no single case like, because he followed so strictly, that's why he followed. There is no such a case. So this is the formula. You have to follow strictly according to the Acharya's instruction. And so if we follow like that, then we can come out of those attachments. Just hear the authorities, then we can come out of those attachments, then we can follow properly. Is it okay?
Yeah. He has said famously that no one has ever fallen down from being too strict.
Yeah, too strict.
One may say that he's a fanatic, but no one ever fell down from being too fanatic.
I put little different words.
I have a few things to add also. In the last verse, in this King Rahugana, where Jadabar is instructing King Rahugana, he gives this very, very nice verse. He says that this uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master, this Kudur Harish Charananupasha Astra. And he says, and by rendering service to the Supreme Personality, please do this with great care. Srila Prabhupada gives 3 points in the purport. Three different ways that one can bring the mind under control. And the first option, he says, that there's one easy weapon in which the mind can be conquered. And he says, neglect. And, if we see that if we give one, one small space for the mind to act, then that will create more reasons, not to neglect in the future. There's that verse, that spiritual life is like a razor's edge. We should be very attentive not to let the mind, you know, wander here and there. And the second reason that Srila Prabhupada gives, he goes to his own spiritual master. He says that in the morning, when one should wake up, he should beat his mind with his shoes. And then at night, before going to sleep, he should beat it with a broomstick. So we can ask, what does this actually mean? But that means that one should be constantly engaged in rendering service to the spiritual master, to the Supreme Lord, by hearing, chanting the holy name, hearing Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. And the last reason, Srila Prabhupada says during the end, he says that another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service. Then the mind will be automatically controlled.
Hare Krishna.
These 3 points, what he said in this purport. One other thing is that you engage, has been following the rules, instructions of spiritual master. One specific thing, engage in preaching activities, try to help others. In that way, the mind will also be very much controlled, trying to help others by giving Krishna consciousness, preaching, going out, seeing the people are suffering. So that's one very special thing of our Krishna conscious movement, Srila Prabhupada's followers. In that way, we are ourselves struggling, that's a different thing. But in spite of that, we take endeavors to go out and preach and distribute this knowledge. In that way, the mind also becomes very much controlled. So these 3 points plus this point, there was a discussion that happened in class. So preaching was also very much discussed on that.
Yeah, and there's one famous lecture, Srila Prabhupada says that one should tax the brain how to spread this Krishna consciousness movement, and automatically the minds will come under control. And there's just one more point that I want to make. Anybody else want to say anything? No? In this one commentary, in the 11th canto, the Bhagavatam, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that one reason why serious devotees fall down, that when devotees don't offer proper respect or proper worship to their spiritual master, then it's that's one cause of fall down. That the spiritual master is he deserves a certain amount of worship, and if that's not given by the disciple, then
Yes.
that's one cause of fall down.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.